Hello and good day. This is Mr. Covalt, or you can call me Mr. C. So I thought about doing a video because instead of taking class time, because you guys paid to have me teach you guys, and I thought it'd be a lot better, more efficient just to have a video and put it on my YouTube channel explaining what to expect from the class instead of me taking the time out of the first day class and then eating up class time. And usually what that results in is me trying to catch up during the semester. So this video will explain what to expect in the class, whether you're taking elementary statistics or business statistics or basic statistics. The only difference is going to be the amount of material that we cover. Okay, but I want to make sure that you guys understand what to expect out of this class so that you guys get the most out of it and that you're successful. Because my goal and my desire is that every one of you guys be as successful as you want to be in the class. And I understand that not everybody wants to get an A in the class, but whatever grade that you want, I mean, if it's passing, then I'll help you pass the class. If you want to get an A, then I'll help you get an A. But it's really up to you as far as what grade you want to get in the class. A couple things to keep in mind is during class, my job is to present the material in a way to help you understand the material or to clarify things that you've already read prior to class. So that's one of the things that's the expectations is that you've already done the reading for that class. And in the syllabus, and I highly recommend that you read the syllabus. In fact, it's part of the requirement when you sign your signature page. So please read the syllabus. It has at the very end, it has the list of all of the topics and the dates that we're going to go cover those topics. And I try to stick with that schedule as much as possible. Again, every class is different. We may spend more time on one topic than another topic. So every semester kind of is an ebb and flow. But you could use that as your guidepost. Now, so going back to my point is you want to have those readings done before class. Why? Because then I'm there to help clarify something that maybe you didn't understand. Maybe there was a topic that was talked about in the textbook in the chapter that you didn't understand. Or reviewing the PowerPoint presentations, before class. That's another thing. So I have those on the blackboard. So you have access to the PowerPoints, guided notes if you want to use those. I don't use those in class, but they're there for you as a resource. So there's lots of things on Blackboard to help you. And so again, my job there is to help you understand the material and go through the material that we're going to cover in class, and then to answer any questions you might have in class or out of class via email. So those are the things that you can expect from me. The other thing that I want to talk about is the grading. Okay, so look at the syllabus for the grading policy. So we have 5 exams in this class. Each exam is worth 10% of your grade. We have the final project, which is 25% of your grade. And I'll explain that later on, probably in another video on the final project. That one's, instead of a final exam, I give a final project. The other thing too is we have little Excel projects that we do, like there's only 4 and they're pretty easy to do, but those are worth 10% of your grade as well. And then you have the online homework assessments, which are 15% of your grade. So all together, that's 100% of your grade. So if you want to think about the grading scale, think of it as the total number of points out of 100. So you can get a total of 100 points if you want to look at it this way. So each of the percentages you could think of as points. And based on how many points you earn by how many points were possible, that's the fraction of the points for each one. So for example, on the first exam, if you get an 88%, okay, well that exam is worth a total of 10 points out of 100. Right, because it's 10% of your total grade. So what you could do is you get to 88% of 10 points, and that's how many points you've earned going towards that 100 total points. And so you can keep track of how you're doing in the class. And to be honest with you, here's the thing. You can fail all of the hour exams, the exams that I have in the class, the 5 exams, and still pass the class with a C, as long as you do excellent on the final project, on the online homework, and the Excel homework, which in my opinion is not hard to do. Now, that would not be a strategy that I would take. I would work on doing well on the 5 exams, and then everything else is hunky-dory. Now, if you want to get a B or an A in the class, then you do have to study and do well on the exams. And again, it's not hard to do that if you study and ask questions and do your part. Okay, I can promise you one thing, that I'm going to do my part. You need to do your part. Okay, which means be proactive in taking responsibility for your own grade in the class. Okay, this is going to be a tough class for many of you, and I'm just being forthright because I want you guys to know, with your eyes wide open, of what this class is going to require. And this is going to be a tough class. It's a tough class for many students. It will probably be the toughest class you take at the college that you're taking this at. Okay, so just be aware of that. I don't say that to scare you. I say that so that you're prepared, okay, and that you go into this prepared to do the work, okay. The students that don't do well in my class or in this class are, quite frankly, the students that don't do all the work, that don't show up to class on time, or don't show up to class at all. And that's the next thing I wanted to talk about, is the attendance. It is vitally important to your success to be in class on time and to be at every class if at all possible. Now, I understand that things come up, and that's expected. So my attendance policy allows for 1 absence during the semester. And depending on how many times we meet, whether it's an 8-week course or a 16-week course, if you miss too many classes, again, read the syllabus for more information about this, but if you miss too many classes, I automatically drop you from the class, regardless of the reason, because if you miss too many classes, you've missed too much material to be successful in this class or to even pass. So please, please, please be aware of that. Don't miss class, and show up to class on time. I also keep track of people who are late. If you're late a certain number of times or more than a certain number of times, it starts to affect your final grade. So read the syllabus again. If you leave class early, I also keep track of people who leave class early. So you need to communicate to me beforehand if you're planning on leaving class early. Why are you leaving class early? And, because again, things come up. I totally understand that, you have a life outside of class. Most of you have jobs and other responsibilities, kids, families. So I understand that, but you need to communicate that with me so I know, because if students start leaving class early or coming to class late, it's just going to affect your grade unless you communicate with me, okay? Because again, you have to be in class on time. For another reason, other than missing material, it's distracting. It's distracting to me. It's distracting to your classmates. And of course, we want to be fair, and we want to make sure that we don't disrupt class, and we want to be responsible and make sure that we're in class on time. Okay? So what else can we talk about? Exams. There are no makeup exams. Okay, so be aware that if you miss an exam, there is no makeup exam. Now, if you know you're going to miss an exam, you can take it early. Okay, I have no problem with a student taking it early. I have many students who are going to end up missing an exam for any kinds of reasons that are valid. Okay, and I'll cover that in a minute. But if you miss an exam, then you could take it early. But if you can't take it early and you're not going to be there for the exam, it has to be a valid reason to miss the exam. Okay, it can't be just for any reason that you're not going to show up to the exam. A valid reason would be you get into a car accident, you're in the hospital, you're deathly ill, and I'm going to require documentation for all of these things. Okay, I have to have documentation to be fair to all the students. So the other thing too is you need to let me know prior to the exam, and it has to be at least 6 hours. You have to give me at least 6 hour notice if you're going to miss the exam. Why? Because it allows me time to respond, and I may say no. depending on the reason. I have said no to students that have given me a reason that I didn't think was valid. So that'll give you plenty of time, in case I say no, to make other arrangements so that you're at the exam. Okay? So please be aware that it's not just for any exam. Okay? I don't allow for makeups, and if you miss the exam, it has to be for a valid reason. Now, if I don't allow for makeups, then what do I do? Well, if it is a valid reason and I do approve it, then what I will do is I will replace that missing exam score with the average of the other remaining 4 test scores at the end of the semester. Okay, so that's the best I can do. So if you miss an exam, then you can be assured that I will do that if it's a valid reason for missing. Okay, if it's not a valid reason for missing and you don't show up for the exam, then you get a 0. Okay, end of story. Okay. Now, if you miss a second exam, then there is no average or anything. It's going to be a 0 regardless. So please don't miss any more than 1 exam, if at all possible. Don't miss any exams is my rule of thumb. Okay. So basically, if you have any family vacations, anything planned, anything that can be rescheduled, I suggest you reschedule. I would not take any family vacations or take any trips during the semester for this class because of, I'm telling you, this is a tough class and the material that you're going to be missing. So just consider that. Okay. What else? In the syllabus, well, so we covered attendance. While in class, here's some basic rules that just pertain to just classroom etiquette and classroom expectations. No talking during class unless you have a question, and raise your hand and ask me. It's distracting to me and it's distracting to other classmates. I've had students tell other classmates that it's distracting, and so my policy is that there's no talking during class while I'm talking unless you have a question. If you have a question, then raise your hand and ask me. By all means, I enjoy and I encourage students to ask questions. Okay, but if you're talking, especially if I have students that are having a conversation that have nothing to do with the class and they're laughing and giggling, that's irritating to me. And it's not just irritating to me, but it's irritating to other students. Okay, so please, when you come to class with the intention of paying attention and asking questions. Okay, I've had to stop class and for people who have been talking during class. So please keep that in mind. So it's just a mutual respect thing. Mutual respect for me, mutual respect for all your classmates. That's all it is about. Okay. The other thing too is what else? I already talked about coming in late. That's another thing. Be on time, be prepared, have the reading done. Also, there's the other thing too. For example, like the video that I'm doing here, I've also put videos up on Blackboard, or not on Blackboard. I have a link on Blackboard to my YouTube channel to view videos like this one. And these videos are videos that are there as a resource to help you understand the material better, because I understand how it is to be in class, you're taking notes, you're trying to pay attention to what I'm saying in class, and then you go home, you try to do the homework, and it doesn't make any sense. It's like you understood it in class, but you get home, you try and do the homework, and it's just not working. So I decided to put these videos. Now, granted, they're not the best videos, okay, but the content and the material are the exact same material that we covered in class. I use different examples. I go through the material slower, in more detail. And the cool thing about the videos is you can pause them to take notes, you can rewind them, you can fast forward, you can skip, so again, they're not the best videos, but for what I've been able to do so far, I think they're very adequate, and I've gotten a lot of great feedback from students saying that they've really helped. So that's given me some feedback to let me know, hey, that these videos do help. So here's the thing. You could, in addition to reading the chapter, you could also watch the videos. And the cool thing is I have the videos by chapter and section, but I also have them by subject matter. So again, depending on what class you're taking, some of the videos are not going to pertain to you, some of them will. So just make sure you look at the subject, because I do them by subject as well. So if you're looking for probability, I have several that are on probability. Different subjects under probability. If you're talking about distributions, then I have many different topics under distributions based on what we cover in class. So you can watch those videos before we covered in class to get a head start on the understanding. So if there's something in the video you didn't understand, you get a second chance at understanding it when we covered in class. And you can make notes of things you didn't understand from the video and ask questions on those as we cover them. Now, with me saying that, one thing I want to let you guys know is please, please, please don't ask me questions about things we have not covered in class yet. Okay? Now, I know that some of you are going to be watching these videos. You guys are going to take my advice and you're going to watch these videos before class. Or you're going to watch videos ahead of time and you're going to cover material that we haven't covered in class. Don't ask me questions about things we have not covered in class. It becomes confusing for the rest of the students, right? So if we haven't covered box plots in class, don't ask me questions about box plots, because I'm not going to answer those questions, because it's just going to be more confusing for the rest of the students in the class who have not watched those videos. So please, please, please refrain from asking me questions that do not pertain to the material that we're actually covering in class, or that we have already covered in class, okay? Because it's just not, it's going to muddy the waters for everyone else, okay? If you have questions about homework, or the Excel projects, or the final project, save those questions for email, or outside of class, or after class, or before class. If we have time in class, I will cover certain things about the Excel homework, or about the final project the final Excel project for the final project. If we have time in class. If we don't have time, then don't ask me about it, because I just won't have time in class to cover those things. If you want, ask me beforehand or afterhand as far as those types of questions. And if I do have time in class, I will definitely take time in class to cover things. But it's just based on whether I have time in class to do that. Okay? Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. Okay? So those types of questions about homework, questions about the Excel projects, the Excel homework, or the final project, are all best done via email. Okay, so those should be taken offline, well, in a sense that it should be email, okay, not in class, okay, because I don't have time in class, and me spending time answering questions that could easily be done through email just takes time away from the things that I should be covering in class, okay. So please don't ask me those questions in class. If you do, I'll just refer you to talk to me outside of class, or send me an email. Okay. Again, those are best done through email. Email is a great place for those types of questions. Okay. Also, if you see a mistake in the homework, send me an email about that so I can correct those. Okay. If your homework is done on WebAssign, there is a great tool on WebAssign called Ask the Instructor. You can actually send me a message through WebAssign, and it'll send me the message along with the problem, so I can see the problem with the question. So please, if you're going to ask me a question with the WebAssign homework, send me a message through WebAssign, and then send me an email telling me, hey, I have a question through WebAssign. Okay, then I'll go ahead and look at WebAssign. I don't look at WebAssign as often as I do email, so please send me a message through WebAssign. Otherwise, send me an email if it's a Blackboard assignment, okay, or if it's a Excel assignment. Okay, so that's going to be the best thing to do. Now, email. If you have any questions that you want to send me email about subjects, things you're covering, anything, pretty much anything, you can send me an email. I check my email several times a day, and I will respond to you pretty quickly if it's an email. Okay. In my syllabus, I ask to give me 24 hours because there are times where I won't respond or I don't have time to respond. It's rare, but it does happen. Okay, but during the week, usually I'll definitely be much quicker than 24 hours. Okay, but in the syllabus, you have to allow me 24 hours minimum to respond, or maximum, I should say, within 24 hours. Excuse me. If it's a weekend, then it could be closer to that 24-hour period. If it's a Sunday, chances are I'm not going to respond. Usually that's my day off. I don't do anything on Sundays. And so if you send me an email on Sunday, you won't respond. You won't hear from me until the following day. Saturdays, I will usually respond periodically, not as often as I would during the week, but again, I should respond pretty quickly. So just keep that in mind. Let's see, anything else? The other thing too is at the very end of the syllabus, I have 2 pages at the end of the syllabus. The first thing is a student information sheet. It's a sheet that I would like you to fill out, letting me know more about you, about your goals, what year you're in, what's your major, something interesting. Why? Because I want to get to know you as a student. You're going to get to know me as the instructor, as the professor. And so you're going to learn lots of things about me. I'd like to know a little something about you. What are your interests? What's something unique about you? What's something embarrassing? You don't have to share everything with me, but everything that you do share is held in confidence. And it helps me get to know you as a student a little bit, kind of like break the ice, an icebreaker, you could say. The other page, the last page, is the signature page. That's the page that you need to fill out completely and sign. That's the student contract with me of all the things, basically letting me know that you've read the syllabus and that you understand what you've read. And that's the contract. That's the student-teacher contract that we have in the class. Now, I need to have that last page. I will give 10 points of extra credit for each page. So if you fill out both pages, you get 20 points of extra credit that can be applied to any of the exams. Okay? So that's the only time that you're going to get extra credit. So I suggest that you fill out those pages and turn them in by the due date, which is going to be the first week of class. After that, I still need you to turn in the signature page, but you don't get the extra credit. So read the syllabus now before class. Make sure you have those things filled out so that you can turn them in the first day of class, and then you get your 20 points, and those 20 points can be divvied up among the 5 exams any way you see fit. Okay? Typically what I do is at the end of the semester, I will just add those points to the exams that need them the most. It really doesn't matter actually which exam, but again, that's the way I do it. But you can tell me if you want to put it on another exam or not. It's totally up to you. So that's another thing I want you guys to be aware of. Other than that, I can't think of anything off the top of my head to expect or to let you guys know. But again, I can't tell you enough. Read the syllabus. If you ask me a question and I know it's in the syllabus, I'm just going to refer you back to the syllabus. If it's a question about due dates, it's in the syllabus. Okay. If it's a question about grading, it's in the syllabus. If it's a question about the homework, I'm going to refer you to the syllabus, okay, or to Blackboard. There are lots of resources on Blackboard, okay. So the next thing I want to talk to you about is the final project. Make sure you read the instructions on the final project, which are on Blackboard, okay. I have a whole link to Blackboard, okay, on Blackboard to the final project with the instructions. Read the instructions, okay. So I have due dates for 2 things, your 4 questions and the 4 claims you're going to make. So there's due dates, and you get points for those that are part of your final project grade. So make sure you read the instructions carefully and choose your 4 questions at the bottom. At the very bottom of the instructions, I have 4 groups of questions. You need to choose one question from each group of questions, okay? So I'm going to do a separate video on the final project, and I'll put that up shortly. But just be aware, read the instructions for the final project, okay? Other than that, I welcome you to the stat class, and I hope this is going to be a lot of fun. Please get started on things sooner rather than later. That's another thing too that I want to let you know about the homework. There is no late homework accepted. Okay, there's a due date. If you don't do the online homework by the due date, it disappears. Okay, there's no late homework accepted, regardless of the reason why you didn't get it done or why it wasn't submitted. Okay, there's no. I offer 1 day late on the Excel homework. Okay, so you get 1 day late, but you lose 5 points for being 1 day late. After 1 day, you don't get to turn it in. Okay, the final project you get 2 days late. Okay, I suggest you don't wait 2 days because it's 20 points off for each day. So if you turn 2 days late, you're down to a C, a 70%. Okay, or hold on a second. You're down to. Hold on a second. No, you're down to 80%, which is basically a C or a low B. Okay, so be very careful with that. So here's my suggestion on the homework. I drop the lowest 2 scores. So if you end up missing one, no big deal. If you end up missing 2, no big deal. It won't hurt your grade. So just be aware. I don't allow any late homework, but I do drop the 2 lowest grades for homework. I allow for 1 day late on the Excel homework, but that's it. No late homework accepted. And then 2 days late on the final project. Now on the final project, here's the other thing too. Please listen. You have to turn in a final project to pass the class. Regardless of what you're getting in the class when you go into the final project, you could be getting an A+ in the class. If you do not turn in a final project, you fail. Okay. Again, remember, I'm not giving a final exam in this class. So in lieu of a final exam, you have to turn in a final project. So I suggest you do that. And it's not hard to do the final project. It's actually quite easy. As long as you follow the instructions and you follow my rubric, you should do fine on the final project. It's not hard, but it's a little tedious. It's going to take some work. Okay? But again, I'm going to do a separate video for the final project, so look for that as well. But other than that, if you have any questions, please email me. I look forward to meeting you guys all in class on the first day. Please be ready and make sure you have everything filled out for the first day. Again, I'm not going to spend any time during the first class going over this stuff. We're going to probably jump in and just start rolling with the subject matter. So again, please watch this video. If you do have a question that's not on this video that I might have missed from the syllabus, please email me. If you have any questions about anything that I put in the syllabus, please email me. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions you have about it. So again, welcome to Stats, and I look forward to getting to know each and every one of you during the semester, and have a great day.